Hey, Josh Teague, Running T Farms. Morning cattle move here. I'm out here a bit early. We had a little bit more rain last night than I anticipated. A little bit more than what they were calling for. It wasn't a lot, but I thought it would be a good time to talk just a second here about when you're grazing at very high stock densities like we do. What needs to happen when it gets wet. So normally I wouldn't have moved these cattle till around 9:30 for their first move this morning, but since we had gotten we got in a quick hard 3/10 of rain last night. We're on a clay soil base here, so we can pug up and make a mess pretty quickly. I will walk back here. This was the first grazing sale that we set up in this new paddock. So we moved in here day before yesterday, and I want to talk just a bit about the importance of perennial grass sod too. So we grazed this non-selectively, wasn't too wet. This area that I'm standing in right here, obviously this is a little more impact than I would like, but this particular area, I don't know if you can see, it's a little bit early. I've got about a 50 square foot area here that was primarily annual species. There was primarily crabgrass here. Of course, it's been frosted on and it's gone, so it kind of lost the root structure. There's still a fair amount of fescue here, but I just wanted you to note the difference. That was from hay feeding last winter. We fed some hay here when it was extremely wet, and we kind of chewed up some of our perennial sod there. So those annuals had came back in, to repair the soil so we can get back to perennials. But this is the same stock densities here, but on perennial, very close plant spacing perennial pastures. And as you can see, we grazed probably 85-90% of the available forage. Ground's covered, and we got good manure and urine distribution here. And it's just that's the importance of perennial grass sod. So you can see where we had the annuals there, where we had kind of made a mess last winter with some winter feeding. Once those annuals die out, they seem to lose the ability to, they don't form that good sod that just lasts on and on. So normally on this sale, because it's only about a 3-day grazing sale, I wouldn't have set a back fence. I would have strip grazed away from our water source, and they would have had free access to the remaining sale for that 3-day period. But I did set a back fence here at the water today. We don't need any more impact on that. It's not too bad. I expect that will recover out nicely. We'll probably see some ragweed, and I would think a fair amount of clover, because there was actually a good amount of white clover and red clover that was there. Of course, they eat it down, stomped it down, but I expect most of that to either recover, or I'm sure it put down a fair amount of seed, because this paddock here hasn't been grazed since early June until now. We have been extremely dry. We're in severe drought now. We did get 3/10 of rain, but that's not really a drought buster. It did come hard, and since we had this area here that didn't have a lot of good sod since from prior bad management on my part, I just wanted to get a little video there. So you can see what they're grazing now, primarily Kentucky 31 fescue. I will increase the size by about 25%. I'll give them an extra break. I've moved them a couple hours early here. I'll come back and move them again a couple hours early, and then let them finish out the rest. The reason I give them a smaller one first here is because they walked through that mud and manure to get here, is because they were kind of up there, and so they've got a lot of mud and urine and manure on their feet when they came into this because everything's wet. So rather than give them a bigger grazing area that they would walk around and foul up with their muddy feet, I'm going to hold them right here for just about an hour. This should be about a 2-hour paddock here, but I'm going to hold them here about an hour, let them clean their feet just a bit, and then I'm going to move them on into the next one, and they'll move 5 times today instead of 4. We've increased the grazing area about 25% just because we got some rain. We didn't get much rain. So any of you guys that's grazing at high stock densities, especially, I would say I don't have a lot of experience in anything but mostly clay soils, but you got to get that grazing area spread out, or you will just have a mess. So if we had gotten much more rain, I would have doubled or tripled or quadrupled the size of the grazing cell for the day to keep the pugging to a minimum. You can really make a mess really quick. I've done it too many times to count because I'm stubborn. I hate to see that harvest efficiency and stuff go down, but the impact that you can put on the land sets you back for a couple years grazing. So my advice is just don't do it. If you get wet, spread those cows out. Don't destroy your land. I know different soils react differently. If you're on really sandy soils, you probably can get by with higher stock densities when it's wet. But our clay soils here in the Piedmont, North Carolina, we just can't do it. So that's pretty minimal there. Like I said, no real deep pugging. That'll recover. We will probably see a little extra weed germination there next year. Not something we're real concerned about. One of the other benefits of non-selective grazing is the cattle. A lot of things get on the menu that weren't on the menu at lower stock densities. So hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their weekend. As always, you can check us out online at runningtbeef.com. You can like us on Facebook at runningtbeef. If you're watching on YouTube, click that like and subscribe button, and everybody have a great next week.